And welcome everybody to the first session in the GoTeam Breakthrough Results Enablement program for 2023. Today's session is a very special masterclass with a great guest and great friend to our business, Connor, who I'll introduce in just a moment. Team, and for our clients that are joining us, or if you're watching this afterwards on video as a replay, the masterclass sessions are edu-action rather than education. We're going to help fill your mind with so many great new ideas, but even better than that is we'll be supporting it with some really great tools that you can go back and apply straight away within your work environment to get new incredible results and start to unleash your full potential. Now, as you join today's session and as you're going along with it, there's also a downloadable guide available as well. So Kevin's put that in the chat for you. If you can download that one now, it's our participant guide. That gives you something to apply as you go. Now, taking notes is so powerful, whether you're writing it down or typing them in. Certainly at a minimum, fill out the guide as you go along. You'll find that an enjoyable way to have the message lock in. And then when you go back to work, you'll be able to apply it straight away. I'm just going to share my screen. So make sure you're downloading that one now. And today's session, our title for this one, is Become More Powerful Than a Mind Reader with the DISC Personality Profiling Approach. It's an AI-first approach to personalizing your communication for greater outcomes. In this session, we're going to share with you, you'll learn how to start conversations with greater confidence, understand what motivates those around you, and bring out the best in the people around you. Now, at this point in time, especially in a world where most of us are hybrid or still remote, getting to actually know each other and understand each other in a deeper, more compelling way can sometimes feel a bit tricky, especially if we've been kind of locked in our rooms for a while and we've sometimes renegotiating with ourselves, how do I communicate effectively? Well, the Crystal Knows approach that you're going to see today, the adaptive personality platform, is going to take you ahead so far, so quickly, and have incredible insights, both for yourself personally, but as well as your teammates around you. Now, we'll be covering a bit of an icebreaker in a moment. I'll introduce Connor. We'll understand what DISC is and the purpose of it, the basic overview of DISC. There's really great insights here, as well as we'll take you through the results enablement concept. I'm going to show you a demo of the technology so you can apply it yourself straight away, and then we'll have a discussion around some key takeaways. Now, if I may introduce a great friend to the business, Connor Riley. He's the Director of Customer Success at Crystal Knows. We've been working together for a couple of years now, I think it is. And as you'll see right here on the screen, Connor is a driver, a DI, and tends to be persuasive and an independent worker and likes to take calculated risks. Hey, Connor, I'm going to hand the controls over to you so you can drive this one.
Okay.
And of course, most people know me, but I think we're going to take a little bit of in-depth review on me as well later on. So be kind, Connor. Be nice to me, and we'll have some fun. You guys know me. I'm the founder at GoTeam, also the CTO and head of execution, and I fit into the category of a D, captain. So you'll get to know me a little bit later on, some more detail. For now, I'll hand. Oh, so Connor, I think you can just drive from mine if you like.
Oh,
Do
really?
you have the controls there?
I do not believe.
Nope, not happening. One moment, we'll go again. Let's do the transition.
And I don't see it yet. Do you just want me to just take over this here?
Yeah, so hang on, let me go one more time. Might have been running behind there a bit.
No worries.
All right. So Connor, can you just click your mouse there? There you go. You've got full control.
All right, perfect. Excellent. So thanks for that introduction, Matt. So everyone that has been on my calls in the past or not, obviously my name's Connor. Really excited to be here. Been working with Matt for a while and the rest of his team, and it's just been an excellent experience. So really happy to be here. Good morning for everyone, or good afternoon, depending on what part of the world you may be in. So really fun agenda for today. We're going to be going through a quick little icebreaker, which I think is going to be really exciting and entertaining for everyone. So let me go ahead and click through this. Perfect. So I really want to ask this really fun question about cars, right? So when you see this car, what do you personally want to know about this car before you buy it? We're going to do a quick little polling question here. So basically, what do you want to know about this? Quality number one, how fast does it go? How much is it? What's the 0 to 60 time? Quality number two, what are the colors available? You know, can it self-drive? What are the newest features? Can I upgrade the tires in the interior? Quality three, safety ratings, is there room for a third row? You know, satisfaction guarantees or reviews. And then kind of that package number four, what's the miles per gallon? You know, what's the specs on this car? How does this car compare to others? Looks like some responses are coming in. Perfect. So go ahead, think about it, and go with your gut feeling on this one. Well, what about for you, Matt? What would you pick on this one personally?
What colors are available? Can it self-drive? What are the newest features? That's probably my bigger driver there.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, can I upgrade the interior? That sounds like me.
Right. It's on the type of car, I guess, for me, but I definitely lean towards, you know, how fast can it go? How much is it? Kind of just straight to the brass tacks for me. I don't worry too much about, you know, the shiny other things that it has, but it is something that's on my radar, that's for sure.
Good.
All right, looks like we're almost ready to probably end this poll.
It's looking good.
All right. All right. So if everyone can see this, which I believe they can, looks like quality number four kind of led the way, closely followed by quality number three. Excellent. So we'll kind of learn right now what that means potentially, and kind of put some color behind the question. So we'll go ahead and stop sharing this one. And let's move on to the next question. All right. And I believe that's done. And Matt, do you still have a thing on your screen in the middle there?
I'll just take that off and go back. There we go.
Okay, excellent. So these were the questions, right, that everyone just answered. And I believe quality number four led the way, with quality number three closely behind it. So what's really interesting about this is we basically just asked some very generic questions on what basically tends to drive people's decision-making and how they tend to think and communicate, which very directly correlates to their disc type, which we'll kind of get into obviously today as kind of the main purpose of our webinar conversation today. So what's really interesting is for quality one, how fast does it go? How much time is it? That's someone that's very direct, very upfront. They kind of want to know answers extremely quickly and can make decisions very quickly, which tend to be more of a dominant type personality, or in the GoTeam sense, that's going to be your eagle. So anyone that picked that quality one as their deciding factor on choosing that car probably will tend to be more of a D type. Now, quality two, right, is going to be more of an I type. So someone that's very influential. That's the peacocks in the GoTeam perspective. And this is basically someone that buys off of being able to innovate and create, and they like big splash type opportunities. So for them, it's, you know, what kind of upgrades can we do, Matt? You know, you wanted to know all the newest features that it could have. I know you do have some I type in your personality, and the car is probably a really good place to showcase that personality. So not super surprised that you said that there, but anyone that kind of chose quality two, probably going to lean a little bit more towards that peacock type disc type. Quality three, which I think was our second place runner up today, you're probably going to be someone as known as those doves, which we'll kind of get into later on what that means. But this is someone that really likes predictable type decisions, right? So they really want to know the safety ratings. They want to know if their whole family or team can in the car. They're always thinking about other people, right? And making sure that they're included in whatever they're trying to do and they're comfortable. They're always thinking about reviews and testimonials just to make sure, again, that they're vetting this purchase right before they go through so they know what they're probably going to get out of this. As well, someone that looks at Yelp chronically before they pick that dinner that they're going to. And then I'm sure everyone might be able to test. The last one is actually C types, which is actually an owl, okay? So this is someone that really likes analytics and facts, and their decision-making tends to be fully based around the logic, right? So this is, hey, show me the specs. What's the miles per gallon? What are, everything about this car and how does it compare to others? Even if it's 1% above the other car that we're comparing it to, they're usually going to go with that Chevy Equinox just because it logically makes sense. So obviously this is very generic, quick little fun icebreaker. There's going to be, some nuances here, but it's a really good way of kind of separating people's just decision-making, styles and how they prefer to communicate in a very easy kind of fun way. So moving forward, talking about DISC, right, which is basically what we just did. What is the purpose of DISC and what is it itself? So DISC is basically a well-established and trusted behavioral framework that organizations use to really communicate effectively, build high-performing teams, retain top talent, sell more effectively. Think about it as a way of understanding how someone likes to communicate and how they make decisions. You can use this on an internal, management, colleague, coworker relationship. You can use this on a talent acquisition side of things, more recruiting. And of course, you can use it for understanding your prospects and customers and how to tweak your language and your pitch to sell to them more effectively. So honestly, I consider DISC as more of a life tool, and you can just translate that into any aspect of professional work on whatever you tend to do day in and day out. And what I really like about this here at Crystal, we've kind of done tons of studies with ourselves and also third-party companies as well. And it really shows there's three different types of organizations. The first organization are really rigid sales organizations or really rigid, recruiting organizations or HR, where it's really one way of doing things, one pitch, one delivery. There's not too much customization behind their methods and then processes. And what's really great about this is it's extremely scalable and trainable, but obviously the downsides is you're missing out on opportunities to connect at a deeper level and be a lot more customized. Now, at the far right, we have kind of like the wild, wild west type companies, right? Where they kind of rely on very experienced people to kind of say and do what they think is relevant in that situation, with not a lot of operations or systems or trainable steps, okay? So obviously there's going to be some downsides to this, but the positives are you add a lot of uniqueness and character and customization to how you hire, how you retain talent, and also how you sell. It's just extremely hard to replicate across an organization. So I'm sure everyone can kind of guess that sweet spot right in the middle is really where every organization should strive to be in. And the best way of doing that is going to be by implementing some sort of personality analytical type tool, which would be DISC and Crystal, and for the sake of this conversation, but we kind of call that adaptive sales organizations, adaptive recruiting organizations, adaptive HR organizations, leveraging personality model like DISC. So that's kind of the main purpose of it. What we find is it really starts with understanding yourself, right? So understanding personality starts with understanding how you tend to communicate, what are your strengths, what are your blind spots, what are your motivators, and really understanding this then allows you to understand others. But, for someone like Matt, right? He's a D-type captain, he likes to take charge. He knows what his strengths are. He also knows what his blind spots are as well, which is really relevant for everyone to know how you can tweak and cater your own leadership style style, communication style, recruiting style to be a lot more effective. These are just some quick graphs or I would say pieces of content on what we kind of deliver in our products. So I would know immediately, how to communicate with someone like Matt, right? So, do's for him, right? Be very energetic and assertive, highlight competitive advantages, right? I think Matt, you're kind of smiling. I think that definitely agrees to your methodology and mindset.
Yeah, I'm feeling seen at this moment.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that's what this is all about. It's all about understanding who you are, right? And then once you know that, you know how to pivot accordingly to whoever you're talking to, whoever you're managing, whoever you're selling to, whoever you're hiring, how you tend to come across. And then to kind of, actually great segue into the next slide, it progresses to understanding others, right? So how does that, person tend to communicate? What are their strengths? What are their blind spots? What are their motivators? It's a really great way of understanding yourself, understanding who you're working with, and then using our tool or using DISC, once everyone becomes an expert, to be a lot more effective in taking this and actually changing the way they communicate or recruit to be a lot more effective. So what I really like about this is it really ends with empathy, right? So it starts with understanding yourself, starts with understanding the person you're talking, or it progresses to understanding the person you're talking to. And then it really ends with its just general concept of empathy, right? Putting ourselves in other people's shoes, understanding how they prefer to communicate, understanding how they make decisions, what their motivators are, and really understanding that there's no right or wrong with that. It's just how everyone tends to think differently, right? Back to our icebreaker, right? If someone really values, the reviews and the extra third row of seating, and I really value the speed of that car, it's not that one is more important than the other in general. One's just more important to me, right? And the other is just more important to the other person. And once we recognize that and add value to that using empathy, that's when we become extremely effective communicators in whatever our chosen craft is, right? Recruiting, managing, being a great colleague or coworker, or selling. So everyone's probably known this golden rule, right? Treat others the way you want to be treated. It's been, drilled into me from my parents since I was a little kid. And, it's something that makes sense, right? And I would say no one really disagrees with this besides me now.
You got an enhancement.
Right, but besides me, so actually once I kind of became an expert in DISC, which I've been using DISC for about 9 years now professionally, I kind of realized this concept I agree with, but really once you start understanding the people that you're communicating to, the real golden rule should kind of be changed to treat others the way they want to be treated, right? So luckily, Matt and I are actually quite similar personalities, but so I could actually treat him kind of like I would want someone to treat myself, and it would actually work. But that's just by chance, right? And now it's because I know that as well. But if I was talking to someone like my fiance, for example, who's an S or a dove in our example, I really need to treat her the way that she wants to be treated, how she's motivated, how she's likes to communicate, how she makes decisions. I need to give her that extra time to look up, those Yelp reviews of those restaurants, right? That might not be important to me, right? I might have liked the first place and wanted to go to it, but I know that my new golden rule is treating others the way they want to and communicating the way they want to, because at the end of the day, that's how I'm going to be effective. And then I think of DISC, and especially Crystal as well, as kind of that compass, right? It's not the end all be all. It's not always going to be perfect 100% of the time. We're complex humans, but it's really that compass that kind of points you in that right direction to understanding yourself and understanding others, and then doing something effective and efficient with this. Now, Matt, do you want to kind of preface, I know you love the results enablement concept. Do you want to talk about this real quick on just what this means to you?
Yeah, like for us, it's about unleashing the potential of the human being. And so with that, it requires having new new mindsets, new way that you view things, and then building on new skill sets and tool sets to be able to really get the most out of ourselves as individuals, or if I'm unleashing the potential of those around us. And so utilizing tools like Crystal actually take us on the step change in that journey. And so right across this entire year, every month we'll have a theme that we're working on. And so right now for January, as we bring it to the close, it's looking at ourselves first and having this deep understanding so that we can then help communicate more effectively with others as well. And so what we're doing here is helping to enable teams to effectively manage, coach and train across the whole departments, also looking at how to motivate and reward and communicate the insights from a personalization perspective. So that's from what we're doing with Crystal, to be able to look more deeply at individuals so that we can actually, like things like motivate and reward, understand how to thank someone is really important when we all have different perspectives and different approaches. And then from a sales perspective, I mean, I had a fun time, in fact, probably with a couple of friends that are on the call today, just looking at each other's profiles on LinkedIn. All of a sudden you realize in a sales environment, you can communicate completely differently, like with more precision and a deeper understanding. And for those that have been around GoTeam for a while, we're big believers in the 7 habits of highly effective people, and Stephen Covey's habit 5, to seek first to understand, then to be understood. With Crystal, we just rapidly move forward past a lot of guesswork and actually can connect to an individual much faster. And then we're using it deeply in recruiting as well. It's such a breakthrough moment when with our clients, we can say, let's pause first, get to understand you as an individual, plus your team that your new team members will move into as a dynamic, even though that you might be literally countries apart across the oceans, but getting to know each other first. And then when we're recruiting, we're looking for, in those positions, what's a most probable fit for the team and the position itself. And then when we bring together in the actual interview process, we're using questions from Crystal to understand, to help the leaders of those teams ask the right type of questions that will ensure we get a more positive integration. So a lot of science is going behind our whole recruitment process now, and it's been facilitated by Crystal. So we're very, very appreciative, Connor. Thank you.
Yep, I think you nailed all of this, honestly. Funny little story, but on the teams side of this, on how you motivate and reward. I do this in my day-to-day life now when I manage my team, and honestly, cross-departmentally as well. This is extremely helpful when you have to work with someone that you might not communicate with too often. Understanding how you can kind of tweak the way that you work with someone and how you collaborate is extremely helpful. But I have someone that honestly is the backbone of Crystal. She's an S. So a dove, and she kind of runs everything. It's just the glue that holds all these different departments together. And her birthday was 2 days ago. And, you know, I usually don't text my coworkers on their birthday. I might send them a Slack or a Teams message. Definitely not on a weekend, right? But on a Saturday for me, I messaged her and then sent her a quick $10 in an Apple Pay and said, hey, your coffee's on me, right? And I know she drinks coffee. I know she's someone that does that because I pay attention to her personality, and that probably meant so much to her. It cost me $10, right? So something very, minimal for me to kind of gift to a colleague or coworker that does a ton for me. But just remembering to actually text them on my own weekend, right, on a Saturday, and send them money to pay for something that I have paid attention to them liking, that goes above and beyond. And that's how I'm motivating her and rewarding her for being amazing for me. Whereas for someone like Matt, right, I could bring that up on a Monday 2 days later and say, hey, happy birthday, what'd you do? And it would mean the same to Matt as me specifically going out of my way on a Saturday to an S. So just understanding how you can collaborate is super effective.
That's so powerful. And like for me, it'd be like a high five and happy birthday, and I'd be happy as anything. And the thing that I really find interesting here is that the deeper you go with the material, the more connected to you are to it. So when you're having the conversations, you're more aware of this and then thinking about the other party. Now, you're a professional at this, Connor, and so you've been honing this craft of yours for some time. So it starts to come second nature to you. For those of us that are catching up and we're sort of building that muscle, I think it'd be amazing if everyone walked around and they had a sign on their heads or a badge on their shirt that told us that. And we don't have that going on. But what we do have available within our tools is where we're presenting these personality profile or these communication styles inside everywhere where you see our name. So whether it's on the daily huddles or on the Do This Too system, everything's appearing there. So we've got this way to bring it forward, and we'll see later at the end how we're doing an even deeper integration to make this more accessible for everyone as well.
Yep. And just to one up that one, I love that idea. We also, in our tool, which Nina, I'll follow up with you to make sure everyone knows this, but there's actually a way of downloading in your email signature your disk type. So you can actually add underneath your email signature, you're a DI or an S or whatever that is. A great way of just visibility. Just again, if we can make crystal and disk a part of everyday nomenclature and actually have that mean something, right? That's when we win in an HR team building perspective, in a talent acquisition perspective, and especially in a sales perspective. So for the sake of time, just kind of moving things forward. So getting into DISC, right? So we've been talking about the power of this, what this means, really high level, but let's go into a little bit more of the nitty gritty so that we actually leave today with some DISC knowledge. So what DISC is, we already kind of went through, it's that personality model, right? But why a bunch of companies use this, about 70, honestly, more like 80% of Fortune 500 companies use DISC as their personality model of choice, is because it's really easy to learn, really easy to remember, and especially really easy to actually put into practice and do something effective with it, especially when you use a tool like Crystal. It's really scientifically proven. So any skeptics out there, the same person that created DISC over 100 years ago also created the polygraph machine or the lie detector test. So there's a ton of psychology rooted in its framework, which is why it's helpful for one-on-one relationships, looking at yourself internally, that individual side of things, and also analyzing a group as a whole. Really important here, it's not a horoscope-like future prediction. So I kind of mentioned earlier, it's not a one-size-fits-all, silver bullet approach. It's a great way of using it as a foundation to understand someone and kind of their unique characteristics and their motivators. But we're complex beings, right? We have good days, we have bad days. So just taking this as that basic understanding and then really growing upon that, asking the real questions, getting to know your colleague or coworker, getting to know your candidate, getting to know your prospect on a sales side of things, but using DISC as that foundation to really operationally grow upon. And then you can fine tune that, like Matt said earlier, right? It just kind of, speeds up this process so that you can actually get to those insights a lot faster and a lot more targeted. Definitely not an excuse for any antisocial behavior, and definitely not a measure of intelligence at all, right? So don't be like, I have a D type, I'm a D type, you're an S type or I or whatever, mine's better, I have better qualities. That's not the case at all. It's literally just understanding how you prefer to communicate, how you make decisions, and with that knowledge, tweaking the way you communicate so that other people just understand you more effectively, right? Communication's hard, right? And all this does is just help with that communication, helps you be a lot more targeted. Okay, so diving into this, what we basically do at Crystal and DISC is you take someone's personality and put them into one of four primary traits, is what we call them. The D type is someone high in dominance, otherwise known as an eagle, right? An I type is someone high in influence, otherwise known as that peacock, right? It's a very colorful, animative, creative. You have your S's, which is a dove, right? So everyone kind of mentioned doves, a little bit more reserved, steady, just very even-keeled type personality. And then you end with those C types, which is someone high in conscientiousness, otherwise known as a owl. So a little bit more skeptical, analytical, just kind of always curious and looking at facts and details. Now here at Crystal, we actually take it a step further. And if you've noticed, each one of the four primary traits, we actually subdivide into 16. So you can get a little bit more specific on you're a D or a DI, and it just means a blend of those two different types of primary traits. But to kind of go a little bit more in depth, Our D types, or again, our eagles, is someone very high in dominance. They're assertive, they're intense, they're ambitious. They want things done very quickly and fast, right? So anyone that probably knows Matt, he probably comes up with an idea or an initiative. Okay, what's the timeline on this? Yesterday, right? I want it yesterday. So that's a D type, right? They usually know what they want, and they're all about executing that goal as fast as possible in pursuit of probably very ambitious goals. So they're just very goal motivated, and they're also risk takers as well. So founders of companies is not too uncommon at all for your D types. You have your I types, which again, your peacocks, right? This is someone that's very high in influence, tend to be very enthusiastic, cheerful, outgoing. I like to use an analogy here where, and if an I type shows up to a party, I can almost guarantee you they know everyone at that party already. And Matt, I'm sure you have stories on stories on stories about this with Fiona, right? And so what I really find interesting is this is someone that if they don't know everyone at the party, they will by the time that party's over, because they're just very enthusiastic. This is your bubbly, larger than life type personality. When talking to them, very easy, very casual, very relaxed. They love meeting new people. Every day is new and unique. And they're honestly just great storytellers and just great people to kind of work with in the office. They bring all the energy, usually, so to speak. Next one is going to be my doves. Okay, so this is someone that's high in steadiness. This is someone very calm, very patient, very respectful. They're just kind of your even-keeled type personalities, right? So they're rarely angered, rarely excited. They just love that harmonious, peaceful, predictable sort of situation. And what I really like about S types is they think of every interaction like a we, not a me. So it's all about how is this impacting my team, the people around me? What can I do to better support them? What can I do to make their day-to-day life easier? Or what can I do to make sure they're getting value in whatever I'm doing? If they like, their job and they like what they're buying from me, or whatever the situation is, that's really the goal of an S type. Let's give you a really quick example here. My mom is a high intensity S type. She actually started her own business a while back and basically became the #1 wedding cake place in San Diego, which is where I grew up. So she did 2,000 wedding cakes a year, had 30, 40 employees. And she actually bought a historical building in downtown San Diego and was renovating it for her own needs. And she literally was thinking about what her decorators needed and what her sales team needed and what all of her employees needed, that she literally forgot to give herself an office. And so she actually had to share an office with her own general manager, which she was completely fine doing, right? And people were like, how'd you forget to do that? And she's like, I don't know. I was just like, my decorators needed this and my sales team needed this. So think if you were selling to that person and you were focusing on their benefit of this design, I'm completely missing the ball here, right? And so that's how powerful personality is. It kind of gives a quick synopsis and paints a picture on how S types, we is first and me is last typically. And then the last ones here are C types. Okay, so again, your owls. Okay, this is someone that's very objective, very skeptical, very logical in behavior. They're almost the exact opposite of your I types, where I types are kind of motivated by creativity, innovation, that new and fun thing that's on the market, right? They usually make decisions on emotion and excitement. Your C types make decisions on logic, analytics, and facts. Okay, so this is someone that's going to make a T-chart on pros and cons, and like I said, even if it's 1% more on the con, they're not moving forward with that initiative or project or decision or whatever that is. Interpersonally, a little bit more reserved to open up, just because again, they're skeptical from nature, right? They want to know what your intentions are. But these people are the kings and queens on seeing issues, seeing inaccuracies, looking at details. This is your typical ops person where, hey, this doesn't make sense, or engineer, someone that is really looking at details, cross their T's, dotting their I's. And so it's a lot of times hard to sell to them in the sales world, but they are someone that you want on your team because they will find every error and issue and fix it before it becomes a problem. I guess before we kind of get into this, Matt, did I spark any stories or any additional?
Just when you see the team there on that wheel, and we've got a few of the leadership team there, and Mike C, who's our chief heart officer, so he's leads up our people and culture side of the business, and so he's there as the S, and it's beautiful to see when people are exactly where they're meant to be. Like it's a beautiful fit. And then when we see Alin or Saba, we know him as our operations manager, over there in the right zone as well. It's just so powerful knowing that people are really where they're meant to be. Like you kind of, if you feel like you're out of place, well, maybe the role that you're in isn't really fitting you. And sometimes if you make a shift to where you're meant to be, everything starts to become more fluid for you. So it's very powerful. And I also think too, when you see the whole team together, you start to value the diversity. Like we really need this dynamic of different viewpoints within a team to be able to get the most out of any situation. If we're all in the one zone together, then we're all agreeing on the same things. And then most of us are not required. We actually want diversity and different opinions to get greater innovation within a team and an organization.
And just to kind of grow on that, because you brought up excellent points. It's not that people, especially when looking at a job and how, like, your personality kind of fits into that. It's not that no one can do anything you put your mind to, right? We're complex humans. We can do anything that we want and focus on doing. So even, an I that tends to be very creative and innovative, they can of course look at details, but it's how much it affects them, right? We call it energy cost, which goes into, how much are you stepping outside how you traditionally think and kind of where you align with on a personality side of things. And is that over time going to wear on you to where then you get, a little bit, frustrated, quicker than you might, you're not as motivated, right? And then, you get burnt out because you're always doing something that doesn't naturally come to you. It's not that you can't do it. It's just a drainer for you. So that's something really big that I think about specifically on the hiring side, but also on the team building side. Like you mentioned, diversity is king, right? On the personality side of things, when I grew and scaled my CS team, my leaders first is what everyone kind of leads differently, but they all have different qualities, right? So myself as a DI, I make decisions extremely quickly, right? But I have someone on my team that's more of an SC, and what he brings to my team is invaluable because he offsets my weaknesses, right? And so I offload some things onto him, and he, offloads some of the really direct, risk-taking decisions onto me, because he knows that's kind of the wheelhouse I live in. So looking at a leadership team specifically, which I know you said your leadership team at GoTeam is quite diverse, which is excellent. It makes it that much more important to use empathy, kind of meet more in the middle, because you might be making, decisions, or you might be, conversing in a way that's valuable to you, but it's not going to obviously land with some other people on your team. So bringing it back down to the middle, using DISC, using Crystal to understand, other people's perspectives and try to put it in their perspective as much as possible is very helpful.
It's so powerful, and I feel like this session's just for me personally right now. My profile pops up a bit, but even to this point of like, I'm high driver in this. I want to get great results, connected to a purpose that's aligned to our clients and our team members. Really want to see human beings exceed in their world, and yet in that, it's important that I slow down. Because although my intent is really strong there, it doesn't mean I'm always communicating that effectively. And I think about Mike as our head of people and culture, as our chief heart officer, to ensure that I slow down and that, my message is coming out, that it's aligned. Because we've got lots of great alignment, but do we always communicate in a way that's going to be effective for the other person? So we really encourage everyone to go back to this information regularly, really know it deeply, because communication equals wealth. All we have is really communication if we break it down. So how can we be more effective? And Crystal really helps us with this.
Yep. I literally cannot agree with you more. I'll throw one more. Here we are going, on the I side. Little story, but What I really find, besides just the how to communicate more effectively, is, hey, my personality is going to come across. I'm not going to bat, and even me, right? I'm an expert in this. I'm not always going to be 100 for 100 on tweaking the way I communicate to the person I'm talking to, especially when times are stressful and frustrating. My personality is always going to rise to the top, right? But what I really love about making this as a part of your culture on the sales side, on the hiring side, and on the internal team side is when my personality comes across, and it might be a frustrator for a specific coworker or colleague, or, you know, my fiance, for example, their patience level on that is going to be so much higher now because they know the value that my personality type brings, right? And vice versa. I now am a lot more patient, you know, giving my fiance 10 extra minutes to look at all the Yelp reviews because I know we've not gone to a couple restaurants that were horrible because of it, right? So really seeing the benefit of that person's personality, and when that comes across and it might be a stressor for you, leaning into that empathy and patience side goes a long way. Okay, before we don't get too off track here, I'm going to show you a quick little LinkedIn demo. And basically what we do here, for anyone that isn't aware, we use machine learning and AI to predict someone's LinkedIn profile page and basically understand their disc type. What we're basically looking at is key identifiers behind, you know, culture, where they were potentially raised, has a huge impact on personality. Any about section, right? So when they explain who they are, what they do, keywords will align differently with different personalities. So to give you an example, I lead a team of customer success managers, right? I could have someone in my exact same role, exact same position, exact same duties, and they could describe themselves as they support a team of customer success managers. Just that difference of viewpoint shows difference in personality, right? So that's kind of at a very high level what we do and kind of what we built our machine learning around. We have one of the largest databases of disc types in the world. We have about 30,000 people a month just take free disc types. So we've kind of fed that into our AI machine learning, reverse engineered it, and then made a Chrome extension to predict personality.
It's like X-ray vision. It's freakishly accurate.
Yeah. It is, yeah. And what I specifically on the sales side, because this is what this the LinkedIn tools cater to an extent. What I like to teach people is it's a reinforcement tool, right? So even if you're messaging with people and you're communicating, after 3 or 4 calls, you actually probably have a better idea on their personality than we do, just through, you know, a predictive index AI. And we actually give you the opportunity to edit their profile to find out more how this. So if you think, you know, Matt, for example, is a DI, well, he in my communications, he's actually really I, or whatever that is. I can tweak it and it'll change the insights we give you to help you communicate more effectively. So again, it's a great foundation, right? Disc is, but also Crystal is as well, but it is freakishly accurate as well. So let me go ahead and actually let me take over screen share, Matt, because then perfect. I'm going to go ahead. All right. Can everyone see this? Perfect. Okay. So diving into this, so I've actually already gone to Matt's page, and after I download the Chrome extension, this just lives, you know, in my page right here. I go ahead and just click this button and it initiates that prediction. And again, we're reading, you know, where he grew up, any biographical information we have, this about section. So how he describes, you know, what he does. And then the heaviest weighing factor is actually job experience, right? So people tend to do jobs and roles that they're naturally gifted at because of personality, right? Someone that's very risk adverse is probably not going to go into sales where their entire, you know, income is based on, you know, commission risk structure, right? So based on that overarching concept, experience and title, and then how they describe those roles is a really heavy impact in our tool. And so basically from this, we've derived that Matt is a DI, right? So he's persuasive, he's determined, he's independent. It immediately shows me here, without even talking to Matt, high-level do's and high-level don'ts on how I can tweak my communication to be more effective with someone like Matt. What I really like about this is it shows kind of where we're similar and where we're different on this disc map. And then, like I mentioned earlier, it gives me the opportunity to edit this based on what I'm seeing in my conversation. Our number one most used piece of content here is this sales stages. So and again, this is more of that sales use case, understanding your prospect and customer and how I can sell to them more effectively. Also extremely helpful for my talent acquisition and recruiters. But let's just say I'm in, that discovery and qualification stage. I could go ahead and get advice, and it's going to show me my personality and Matt's, and then high-level do's and don'ts on how I can be more effective with Matt's personality. This is loading a little slow. We had a bug earlier, so this is not usually like this, by the way. But it shows me here how to give a pitch to someone like Matt, right? So again, speak with an energetic, engaging tone, right? Show them that competitive advantage that buying my product will give them over someone that doesn't. Matt, for you, if I was presenting to someone like yourself, right, I'd say, I'd use visual aids and illustrate, hard to digest content. I'm going to add a lot of humor, right? And I'm going to be prepared for some interruptions or pushback, right? And I'm going to be prepared to kind of pivot on the spot. Tell me that's not how almost a majority of your sales pitches go when someone's trying to sell.
I mean, even in this presentation, we'd said, we'll wait until having interactions until later, but no, already making disruptions. And so it's spot on.
Exactly. How I can build rapport, right? Share passions or hobbies. So, weirdly enough, I actually have a restaurant background. I just found out so does Matt. We've riffed on that for a little bit. So just really understanding how I can approach problems for someone like Matt's personality, urgency and pace, how to handle competition, right? And again, I could have potentially never even met you before, Matt, and I would know how to tweak my conversation in bond and rapport time, and how to present a deck, how I can do my outreach emails. Everything I know now is basically without even having to spend a single second talking to you, which, as we know, we have limited touch points now, especially with prospects and customers. People are a lot more skeptical to even jump on a call. If I can use this just to really speak to those emotional heartstrings that you tend to make decisions doing, this is where it becomes so much more effective.
And I think when you come from a position where your intent is about seeing a win-win, so a win for the other party and actually win for yourself so that you can get a long-term sustainable relationship, then this information is incredibly useful. Like, it's not intended to be there to be manipulative. You come in with the right intent, your heart's in the right place. It's actually empathy that you're digging into it at this point in time. It's wonderfully powerful.
And it's a really great point you bring up, Matt, because this is how I view it, right? I go, hey, isn't it my job as a salesperson to give you that sales cycle and give you that experience that you want to be in, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm throwing facts and analytics and I'm giving you, white papers, all I'm doing is probably really frustrating you, right? I'm making it a very not pleasant experience for you. So just like you said, this isn't me trying to sneakily give you a sale or anything. I'm literally just understanding how you want to communicate, and I'm just being a chameleon and giving you what exactly you want, what kind of, like, how you want to go through this process. Whereas someone that's extremely detail oriented, right? And I'm coming at you with graphs and all these, very visionary roadmap type stuff. All I'm doing is frustrating that person because they're not getting what they want out of this conversation. So I cannot agree more. It's an excellent point you bring up. But as you can see here, this is just generically on this profile page, shows me expected behavior, how to email this person, which we'll get into in just a second, how to meet with, energizers, stressors, right? Deep research and analysis, right? I'm not sending you 17 attachments in my follow-up. That's going to be something you're going to call me and say, hey man, you just sent me 17 attachments. I don't have time to read that. Yes. What's the gist? right? And you know, I see Nina laughing. That's probably something that, you know, she's done in the past, and then you get a call immediately, and then
Just jump on the call. Yeah.
just jump on a call. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then what I really like about this is, even though we're weirdly similar, right, we actually have a lot of differences as well. So it kind of breaks down, you know, I'm pretty fast paced, maybe slow down slightly for someone like Matt. We're both very collaborative. I'm a lot more dominant than you are. However, you know, we're doing a fun little tango here during this presentation. I think it's just because we get along so well. On the recruiting side, which I really like, we're not going to really get into this at all, but you can create a job in our hiring tool and actually give our best guess or prediction based on job description on the best type of personality to decrease that energy cost. Like we talked about, I could actually go ahead, create that job, add you to this role, and it's going to give me a probability on, should I reach out to this person? Should I try to recruit them to go through that process? Whereas, you know, for someone like you, let's say, you know, a customer success manager, you're actually going to be a 78% job fit, shows me the ideal customer success manager, and I could add you to that job. So really helpful for recruiters. If you just want high level information, right, just straight to the point, high level facts here on how I can best communicate with you over a call. And I can give you all these different scenarios. So just persuade to take action. It's going to tell me, you know, my high level do's and high level don'ts to be a lot more effective right here, right? So focus on the advantages, right? Don't be hesitant. Don't be passive. Don't expect him to follow the agenda and instructions too closely. There's going to be some tangents, I can almost guarantee you. And then to kind of round this out, because again, this is not going to be a full training, just to kind of get a quick glimpse on what we do, and then have you reach out afterwards to learn more. But we have everything from email templates, which is basically, you know, a cold sales pitch. This is how I would structure a cold sales pitch to someone with your personality, versus obviously completely different for an owl, right? It's going to be facts, analytics, add attachments, how to discuss a deadline, how to recruit for a job, give a job offer, all the way to what we call strategy guides or one-pagers or playbooks. I kind of call this kind of the masterclass version of Crystal, where now that I might have a viable opportunity, maybe Matt's looping in some other stakeholders on his leadership team, I could go ahead and run playbooks, and then it's going to give me tangible advice in whatever scenario I have with as many people as I wanted to add. So kind of group selling. Now, Matt, you know this product really well. Anything you want me to dive into before we kind of jump back into our deck?
This is wild. Even today, you've gone even deeper on the plugin than I've looked at lately. So I think it's for everyone. Go and play around, but come back to it literally on a daily basis when you're communicating with people, whether you're in sales or just within your own team. Keep coming back and looking at it. There's so much gold in here.
Exactly. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my page, and then Matt, if you want to get back into that deck for the, I know we're running up on time at the end here.
Sure. Yeah. So let's move forward through into, if you'd like to understand yourself or others through the DISC framework, you can access Crystal Knows here. So pull out your phone and give that one a scan. You'll be able to claim your free profile. Now, we've got for our team members, we're all in on Crystal. So for everyone, if you have not yet completed your profiles and you'd like an extra hand, you can reach out to the discovery team. They'd love to help you out. Also, if you'd like to increase the quality of your communication with your peers and you'd like to go deeper on this one, then inside Do This Too, we've got a full course that we've put there together for you around DISC. So you can get further enhanced, some incredible engaging videos in there and more detailed information. You'll find that a really enjoyable way to just take your knowledge to the next level. All that's inside the Do This Too system. You'll also see coming out soon, we're going to do a full API integration with Crystal, so that inside your profiles in Do This Too, we're going to pull all the rich information from the Crystal reports and have that available for you. And then soon we'll show where teams actually work together. You'll also see it in the Huddleboard app as well. If you'd like to, once again, do that deeper learning, make sure you check out the course in Do This Too. And that really brings us to the end, because I know we're a little bit over time now. Would love to certainly have anyone's got any questions to pop those in the chat so we can answer them. And we've also got there from Kevin saying, oh, you would appreciate your feedback. So we'd love to get some feedback at the end of this as well. This is the first of our Masterclass series. We're very privileged to have you here with us, Connor. So thank you very much for joining us today. And respectfully on time, we will bring it through to a close. So there's one special thing that we do here at GoTeam whenever we get together, and it's the GoTeam Power Clap. The way a power clap goes, it's a single clap, and we say power clap on 3, 1, 2, 3, and then go team. And you know, the best person to lead us on this one would be you, Connor, as our special guest today. So if you can lead us in a power clap, so it's power clap on 3, 1, 2, 3, and then a go team.
All right.
And for everyone, turn your microphones on and let's do it.
All right, I'll give a second for the microphones. And then, all right, power clap on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Go team!
Awesome. You're very well initiated now, mate. We really appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your deep knowledge and inspiring us all. Team, and for our clients who are on board as well, this is an entire series throughout the year. We've got our Exceed Institute sessions where you can connect, be inspired and grow more on a personal growth perspective. We have our new office hours sessions where you'll be introduced to new frameworks and technologies to help enhance the whole team members and their results. And then our Tech Tuesdays, which you'll see not just on the day Tuesday, but as you choose every day of the week, you'll see us updating you with the latest artificial intelligence and automation technologies to be able to further unleash the potential of everyone on your team. There is so much more coming. It's so much better together. We're very grateful to have you as part of our extended family here and looking forward to an incredible year ahead. So thanks, everybody. Wishing you an amazing day and looking forward to seeing you on the next session. Thanks again, Connor, and to all the Discovery team that made this possible. Really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.